Welcome to our comprehensive review of the first 9 weeks of U.S. history. We'll be revisiting crucial concepts that shaped America from the aftermath of the Civil War through the rise of industrial power. This session is designed to solidify your understanding for upcoming tests and classroom discussions. Our journey begins with Reconstruction, a pivotal period following the Civil War. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery, a monumental step towards equality. The 14th Amendment granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the U.S., ensuring equal protection under the law. Finally, the 15th Amendment secured voting rights for African American men. These amendments were championed by the radical Republicans in Congress. They sought to fundamentally transform the South and protect the rights of newly freed slaves. The Freedmen's Bureau was established to aid these former slaves, providing education, health care, and legal assistance. However, this era also saw the rise of terms like carpetbagger. This derogatory label was applied to Northerners who moved south during Reconstruction, often accused of exploiting the region for personal gain. Their presence, alongside African American leaders, fueled resentment among many white Southerners. Despite the promise of the amendments, the post-Reconstruction South saw a systematic rollback of rights. Black codes were restrictive laws passed by Southern states to control the labor and behavior of newly freed African Americans. These codes often forced them into exploitative labor arrangements. Sharecropping emerged as a dominant agricultural system, trapping many African Americans and poor whites in a cycle of debt. Farmers rented land and paid with a share of their crops, often leaving them with little to no profit. This system perpetuated economic dependence. Jim Crow laws institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination across the South. These laws mandated separate facilities for blacks and whites, from schools to public transportation. They enforced a rigid social hierarchy based on race. The Supreme Court case Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896 solidified this segregation. The court ruled that separate but equal facilities were constitutional, providing legal justification for Jim Crow for decades. This period, known as the nadir of race relations, marked a low point for African American civil rights. As the nation grappled with Reconstruction, westward expansion continued. The Dawes Act of 1887 aimed to assimilate Native Americans into mainstream American society. It broke up tribal lands into individual allotments, often selling off surplus land to white settlers. This policy severely undermined tribal sovereignty and traditional ways of life. The relentless push westward also had devastating environmental consequences. The extinction of the buffalo, a primary resource for many Plains Native American tribes, was a tragic outcome. This loss destroyed their economic base and cultural practices, further weakening their resistance to American expansion. In the late 19th century, farmers faced severe economic hardships. The Granger Laws were state laws passed in the 1870s, primarily in the Midwest, to regulate railroad and grain elevator rates. Farmers organized through groups like the Grange to combat exploitative practices by powerful corporations. The Populist Party emerged from these farmer movements advocating for significant economic reforms. Their Omaha platform of 1892 called for policies like a graduated income tax, direct election of senators, and government ownership of railroads. They also championed bimetallism. Bimetallism was the monetary policy of backing currency with both gold and silver. Farmers believed this would increase the money supply, leading to inflation and making it easier to pay off their debts. This contrasted with the gold standard, which favored creditors and kept prices stable. The late 19th century also witnessed an explosion of industrial growth. Capitalism, an economic system based on private ownership and free markets, fueled this expansion. However, this era also saw the rise of powerful monopolies. Monopolies occur when a single company or group controls an entire industry or market. This allowed them to dictate prices and stifle competition. Industrialists like Henry Flagler, who built a vast railroad and hotel empire in Florida, exemplified this era of powerful business leaders. Companies employed various strategies to achieve dominance. Horizontal integration involved buying up competing companies in the same industry to create a larger entity. Vertical integration meant controlling every stage of production, from raw materials to distribution. While capitalism drove innovation, some critics looked to alternative economic systems. Communism, an ideology advocating for a classless society where the means of production are owned communally, offered a stark contrast to the growing wealth disparities of industrial America. These concepts laid the groundwork for future economic and social debates.